Hello, everybody, and welcome to ToutSuite Social Club. This is a Monday Meet Your Maker Roundtable, and we're sitting here with Bob McClenahan, and it's just him and I drinking some red wine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm drinking a PBR because it's Monday, and why not?
Nothing wrong with PBR. I was very much into the PBR 20 years ago.
I feel young. I don't know. All the above. We're sitting here looking out the back of the ToutSuite Social Club patio studio, and after crazy amounts of rain that we've had the last few days, it's nice and beautiful and clear and lovely.
Yeah, I read that we got more rain over the weekend than we got in all of 2013.
Really?
Hello. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
How's it going?
How's it going? Welcome.
Bob, Scott.
Have a seat.
All right.
We're getting We've already gotten going. We're just hanging out, squeeze in.
Okay. Good. Great.
Pour yourself some wine. Put some wine on the table. We're just hanging out.
This is probably the most fun thing I got here.
The most fun thing. Oh boy.
So
He brings the Chardonnay, Porter Creek Chardonnay.
Oh yeah.
Let's get a quick little. Perfect.
All right.
Scott, I'm Sean.
Scott, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
All right. Good. It's crazy being out today with the sun is still up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
This is kind of what we've been talking about.
I know.
We're just hanging out today and
Yeah.
enjoying everything. And thanks you for bringing some wine. Talk a little bit about what's going on with upcoming shows that you guys are going to participate in. Talk a little bit about what we have in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk about anything we want to. This is a bit of a fun day. And actually, while we're getting going, I wanted to ask you, Bob, real quick, if you could elaborate on this project you've been working on so painstakingly, highlighting different personalities with photography, because you do a lot of work specializing in photography, but within the wine industry. So you get a very interesting viewpoint that maybe some of us don't, who get wrapped up in other things, don't necessarily see.
Well, yeah, maybe. I'd say close to 90% of my clients are in the wine industry. So I do a lot of shots of the winemakers, a lot of shots of tasting rooms, a lot of shots of bottles, and that sort of thing. And one of the projects that I've been, a little personal project of mine, is to photograph my Facebook friends. So I've been just going around, and if they have an interesting personality or an interesting story or something going on in their life, I take their picture, and I try to be creative about it. And it's been going very well because it's been very well received.
Okay.
A lot of people have been noticing my photography because of it, and we have whiskey.
Yeah, we now have
All
Highway
right.
whiskey,
There
which
we
is
go.
making me really happy. I've got PBR, white wine, red wine. Oh, he's even got.
Oh wow.
Make sure we get everybody squeezed in here.
yeah.
We don't have a lot of
Close
room.
side here, yeah.
Welcome.
What's your name?
Thanks, Craig.
Craig. I'm Bob.
Bob, hi. Nice to meet you.
Scott.
Craig Becker.
And Sean.
Sean, nice
Welcome.
to
We
meet
now have everybody, I think. Are we missing anybody, Susan?
Quorum.
Maybe. Oh, good. We'll keep going. More cocktails showing up, more fun to be had.
All right.
Just one thing that you have really found out. I mean, you said all of these people are Facebook friends of yours.
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope to find? What do you hope to discover? Are you peeling back layers of an onion, or are you?
I mean, honestly, the whole project just started because I wanted to do more creative portraits of people, and I needed volunteer models.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it all got started. But because of that, I had literally 80 people inquire to be a part of it within the first week. And it was only supposed to be a year-long thing, and so it's really just become this, but what I was really hoping to do is just practice lighting, practice posing, practice, shooting people, trying to get their personality out. And for that, I've been grateful because I've been able to do it on a few different people, and we've got more people coming up.
I love it. Fantastic. We'll look forward to that. We'll talk a little bit more.
Including this guy.
Oh, okay. Sweet. Look forward to that one. And when is your show going to be? That's part of why we're here today. Talk about your upcoming show.
Yeah, my show is called Catch Light. We're going to be starting that next month on March the 17th at 4 o'clock.
Very cool. Tune in for that one, guys. We look forward to having you back for that. And, of course, you've got this wonderful little...
Boland Family Estates Merlot. This is a 2007. They are a client. And this wine was made by Tom Rinaldi of Duckhorn fame. He's now kind of doing he's makes wines for quite a few people now, but this is one of them.
Cool.
So, anyway, I just thought it might be kind of fun.
Super fun. It's a good one. We got some right now. We'll get onto that in a bit.
All right.
Fantastic. Scott, welcome.
Oh, good to be here.
When are you going to be on the show?
Next Monday.
Next Monday?
Yeah, a week from today.
Today.
Okay.
Exactly.
And what are we going to talk about?
Well, it's a new show that we came up with about sommeliers, for sommeliers, basically a class where, or not class, but like a forum or a round table where we can bring in people and just kind of talk about the business.
Okay.
Talk about things that you don't necessarily cover in the court programs.
Okay.
Just everyday trials and tribulations of running a successful program, telling stories about fun times and crazy things and stuff that happens on the floor and all that kind of stuff. We're going to bring in a series of well-known guys along with Gregory and myself to kind of just chat about things that happen in the trade.
Very
on the floor.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Start that off next Monday. So
Yeah, our first guest is going to be Ian Cobble. From the movie.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be fun. I mean, we go way back with Ian, so that'll be a great way to get the ball rolling with a lot of fun and some good information for folks out there. So.
Very cool. And what did you bring real quick? What do we got?
This is Porter Creek Chardonnay. I'm doing this with Gregory Condes. This is a company I work for here in Napa. And this is the first producer that we've actually started the company with. Gregory found Alex Davis at a tasting when he was running the program at Gary Danko, at a tasting for Russian River Chardonnays and Pinots that he didn't really like much of anything at the tasting. Then he's talking to Alex and he says, "Hey, did you try my wines?" And whatever. And he's like, "Wow, those things are great." So when Gregory decided to start a company, the first person he called was Alex, and it just so happened that it meshed. And this wine is really kind of the style of the wines that we like and that we talk about, in that it's got great fruit, great typicity, food friendly, just, it's kind of what we're all about. So that's why I decided to throw it along and bring it along there.
Very nice. We got a ghost guest. I like it. Very cool. And
I'm glad to hear we're on a 7-second delay. That's
That's okay. We're live. We're not on a delay. We're live. And I see this gentleman over here brought some High West whiskey and some sweet vermouth, looks like.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The old adage, it takes a lot of beer to make good wine. I think it takes a little bit of whiskey to make good wine.
I agree. My old roommate and I, Brian Page, will be on the show pretty soon. We had him a couple weeks ago doing the same thing, and he brought plenty of whiskey, and he always swore that he was going to take that T-shirt that says it takes a lot of good beer to make great wine and cross out the beer, write bourbon, and cross out the good wine or great wine to make awesome wine. If you drink beer, you make good wine. If you drink whiskey or bourbon, you make
great wine.
Awesome wine.
That's cool.
Very cool. And when are you going to be visiting us?
In March. Exact date, DDA?
When do you want to be on the show?
When I'm in town, that's probably a good start, right? So it sounds like the middle of March.
Middle of March. Very cool. What's the plan? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I think we're going to talk about our estate, the Somerston estate in the Eastern Hills of Napa. Kind of a new thing. I think it's some resurgence in Napa, talking about everything under our feet, not everything above our feet. We're a pretty large estate that's really focusing on just grape growing. So we've got 1,628 acres.
Holy jeez.
250 acres of vineyard, pretty massive elevations. It's really cool. So it's a big viticultural experiment, making some pretty awesome estate wines.
Wonderful. Look forward to it. You anything particularly going to bring along with you? Anything you want to highlight, though? Any particular wines that...
The Somerston wines, the Stornoway Merlot Cab Franc.
Okay.
And then our Hillside Cab, Somerston Cab.
Very cool.
As long as our powerhouse Grenache Blanc. white wine, which is a lot of fun,
Nice.
and probably the Priest Ranch Cabernet.
Well, good wines. All good wines. You guys have been getting a lot of press and write-up lately. I actually saw something come across my social media feed today. And you had
a blogger?
Yeah.
He's a funny blogger.
It was a pretty interesting article where he's just talking about traveling and going and doing and comparing Napa to Disneyland and all of these things. And I was really surprised at where he was going to go with this article. And then he says a lot of great things about you guys and your wines. So.
Yeah, it's kind of the project that's about a property, not the material part of the business. It's not the mansion or the $50 million winery. It's make wine in a barn and have an amazing estate.
Very cool. They made some great wines, and I visited your tasting room in Yountville quite a bit, and I really can't wait to see what you guys bring along. It's
cool.
Maybe we can even work out something where we can get out to the property a little bit and do a little bit of setup.
Great.
I don't know. We could have some fun, right?
Plenty of
I don't know. We're
locations.
just coming up with ideas.
I have a buddy who lives right out by there. I've driven past it many times. It's a really cool looking property out there. Very nice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys in Childs or Pope or both? Or
We're east of Childs,
east of Childs.
10 miles south of Pope Valley.
So you're not quite to Berryessa, or
We're not quite. We're northeast of Atlas Peak.
how much rain have you guys received over the weekend? You know, something we were kind of quick talking about how nice it is and how we got in more rain in the last few days than we did in almost all of 2013. The way the rain comes across, it tends to hit the Mayacamas range, dump a lot. By the time it gets to you guys on the eastern side of Napa Valley, do you see a big difference?
Less. Yeah, Spring Mountain District received about 13 inches.
Okay.
Our AdCon stations combined, we got about 6.1.
Wow. So you're working with half the amount of rain, even though you're, as the crow flies, maybe only
A few miles.
Yeah.
That's normal. That's I live on just below Howe Mountain, and we got about 11 inches. So, the front of the mountains get the most rain.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's been a dry year, but it was a good Saturday.
Mm-hmm. It was a very good Saturday.
Yeah.
And now it's a great Monday.
We have a question.
Oh, I like questions. Who do we have a question from?
Joel Morgan.
Joel Morgan. What do you got, Joel?
He loves Cab Franc and Grenache Blanc.
Cab Franc and Grenache Blanc and?
Have you noticed an increase in consumers gravitating to varietals normally used for blending now being featured as a single varietal? 2, Craig.
I would say
Real quick, let's just repeat the question in case they didn't hear. Susie, have you seen more of a consumer pull towards varietals that used to be used for blending, now tending to stand on their own more often? Things like Grenache Blanc, Cab Franc.
I would say yes and no. You can't, you don't want to confuse little activity with success. But a wine like Grenache Blanc definitely has been a hit. It's been great. We make about 1,500 cases. It sells out in about 5 months.
Oh, well.
So that's successful. I wouldn't say it's across all brands. Cab Franc is kind of a niche wine. I would say Grenache Blanc is as well. So yeah, you can make it, but is it going to be a big business? We'll see.
It's not something that, as a major producer, you're going to be.
We're not going to hang our hat on it.
Yeah, you're not going to kind of put that as your name and have it in stores all around the United States and really say that we are known for Grenache Blanc the way,
We're becoming known, but we have about 70 acres planted to Cab, 7 acres planted to Grenache Blanc.
So, wow, it's just a little bit of a difference.
Just a little bit. We've got another 40 acres of Cab going in, so it's just a little blip. It's fun. It makes us, we got something different to pour.
It's a really good question to pose to you as well, in the sense of where you see the consumer going. When you're working with lists and you're working with developing menus.
Well, of course, one answer is that these regions have always been around. Chinon has always been Chinon and Southern Rhone and these things. But I think, yes, there is. I've seen a lot more lately, more playing around with Cab Francs, especially from Napa, in different styles, too. There's a lot of people making Cab Franc in Loire style, as opposed to in the past where they would just make a Cab Franc that was kind of Cabernet light and label it Cab Franc. So there's more diversity in Napa, but also there's a lot of demand out there. You see it on a lot of lists, and everyone's trying to find the next cool thing and, stay on top of it.
Is it about finding the next cool thing, or is it more about communicating the capabilities of what we are able to produce and maybe not allowing people to have a quote-unquote bored tongue, and that Napa grows more than just Cabernet Sauvignon, so we want the consumer to be educated and drink more than just Cabernet Sauvignon.
Right.
But at the same time, made a very good point. Movement isn't necessarily, being that driving economic force. It just shows that people care.
Sure. I think, across the country, you see a lot of interest in obscure stuff like Jura wines or Greek wines or Portuguese wines. And Napa becomes kind of like, oh yeah, that's that part of that list that makes me money that I don't think much about. And so a lot of what our role is to kind of educate people that, hey, there's a lot of cool stuff, not just the Cabernet that's great, but people are doing some really fun things and experimental things here in Napa that are really cool. And you can geek out on Napa, these other varieties like the white blends, like the Massicans and the Mathiasins and stuff like that, or you can really get into terroir. We were talking about Howell Mountain, Spring Mountain, and Pope Valley, and the different specific aspects of all those different regions. When you get into the Cabernet from those regions, it's tremendously different. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of ways to geek out about Napa. That's not just, oh yeah, that's that section over there. So yeah, we're trying to get that word out as well. Yeah.
But I would say from a Napa Valley branding standpoint, and as we travel with the vintners around the world, you've got to hang your hat on something. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it's definitely the Bordeaux varietals. It's what we do best. It's what we compete at the highest level with. But as you were saying, there's always fun little tricks that all wine regions have, not just Napa, that are fun and different and kind of add a little depth to what we're all trying to do.
Is it difficult to market non-Cabernet wines on a list? When somebody, if I was, producing my own wine and I was flying to New York or going wherever and I was meeting with sommeliers who have a list and I say I'm from Napa Valley and I say I'm making Grenache Blanc or I'm making, Sangiovese Petit Syrah craziness blend from up in hot and dry Calistoga, are they going to look at me like, oh, you're doing something interesting, I want to see your wine, or they're going to look at me and be like, yeah, no, sorry.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Napa is about hanging its hat on Cabernet, and that's what it is. But, if you're going to make something else that's more than just a novelty, then it has to kind of have a reason to exist. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, if I'm in New York and I'm looking at somebody that brings me a Sangiovese and they have it priced like Brunello, I'm not. I'd rather buy the Brunello. Right. But, if you can make a reason and make it something interesting that gives me a hook that I can take to my guests and get them excited about it, yeah, sure. I'm all about that. So, it's a case-by-case situation depending on what works. And that's what everybody's trying to do with a wine program is to make the guests happy and to make your restaurant money. So, that's what it comes down to.
Guests happy, make restaurants money. Wine industry, we're trying to make good wine to make people who drink our wines happy and maybe make a little bit of money. So, and then we can even say with Bob, it's take good photos to make whatever your subject is happy. And then
that's it. We got to have the pictures to make the websites look good. Yeah, exactly.
That's my job.
Mm-hmm.
And from an interesting standpoint, and just maybe kind of go out, pull a question from right field, unless we have anybody waiting. With somebody like Bob, who's got a really good knack on what the wine industry is and isn't just a photographer, how does that help you communicate to them what your vision is? And how does that maybe make you go after him and say, this is what I'm trying to do, so that when you're building a website or you're building a marketing material, because that's now something. It's not just, I made my wine, I go out and sell it. Now you have this whole big world of social media and websites and things like that. And there's a need for it.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at your typical websites or brochures, and it's kind of the same pictures of vineyards and then same pictures of barrels and all that. So, to come up with something that's unique, a different way of presenting what the wine is all about, I mean, that's really important because there's a million wines out there and you have to stand out for whatever reason it is. And anything you can use to differentiate yourself from the masses is a really valuable thing.
How would you say in your position, being the one that has to differentiate when you're working with somebody building their website, what do you bring to them? What is your approach?
You really just have to deal with, what most likely deal with their marketing person. So we try to get an idea of, sort of the direction that they want to go in. And they might have the vision of, I want all black and white photos.
Okay.
That sort of thing. And so you have to kind of build around that. Or maybe it's, I had a client just over the weekend. I want a 3D model of bottles.
Yeah.
And so he wants like some sort of like interactive bottle shots that you can do on the website so you can see all angles of the bottle and label. So I've been trying to figure out how to do that today. So, they're coming up with ideas, and a lot of times I'm just trying to implement those ideas. And then other times I just have clients, they come up to me and say, hey, you know what? I need a shot for Valentine's Day. Here's a bottle. Do it. And so then you have to come up with, something.
Because they just want to put out a quick little bit of marketing to get out and say.
Yeah, and, they trust me well enough to know that I will give them something back that's quality, and they don't really need a whole lot of, back and forth. So it really just kind of depends on what the client wants and their needs and budget. So, yeah.
And it varies, of course, between all capacities, whether, you're small garage, you stay making 100 cases, or somebody who's fortunate, you guys have a really big ranch and you're doing lots of different things, and you need to be able to classify the difference between all those things.
Right.
And it's you kind of say, okay, this is what we can do here and this is what we can do there.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. I'm just trying to think of things where we can go in the sense of, we're sitting here drinking different wines and drinking some whiskey, which I kind of want.
We don't have down this.
Right. There he goes. Now we've got the glassware. There we go. I love it. I'll just hold these off. We're through. All right. What is this you've got here?
A little dry vermouth.
Dry vermouth. I'm sorry.
2-to-1 whiskey with a little splash of vermouth.
All right, we're getting really quiet while we're doing this. We got to talk. Okay, we're splashing vermouth. We're mixing whiskey, and of course, this is supposed to be a wine educational, but this is about meeting your makers, and this is not just about wine, but this is about the industry as a whole. And that's why we have photography represented, we have some sommeliers represented, and we've got some producers represented.
Pretty good.
And actually, I just had a quick reminder I saw coming through on social media feeds today that Master Somm Theory exam was today for some people. And
Yes, it was. Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
they for the first time they did it simultaneously in San Francisco and in Dallas.
Okay.
And I didn't sit it this year. I've sat it the last 3 years and decided to take this year off. So it was nice to see everybody else stressing out about it and say, okay, yeah, good for you.
I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, they changed the whole format a little bit this year. But
I hear that's going on with a lot of the exams, actually.
Yeah, they just completed the first lecture series for the advanced exam over the weekend. So they've changed that from being part of the exam to separating it. So now all the candidates go and sit for the class, and then they take the exam at a different time.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're changing a lot of things in the program.
Do you, in the sense of what they're trying to ultimately achieve for wine, education, do you think it's for the better? It's going to make people more educated, or do you think it's maybe trying to delineate and separate?
I think it's to streamline the process a little bit and make it a little more regulated and consistent. In the past, I was talking to a friend who was there this weekend sitting through the lectures and said these lectures were amazing. They were in depth and they really focused on what they needed to learn, and the breakouts were great. When I did advanced, it was kind of like, well, you should know this by now. They threw the Bordeaux grid up on the screen for 10 seconds, said, but you know that, and took it down. And, it was kind of like, okay, you should know this, but we're going to go over it real quickly just to freak you out. And from talking to some people this week, they said, no, it was really in-depth. It was really well thought out and very helpful. So it's a little different, which is good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Susie's coming over. She's got to steal a little bit of this whiskey.
Yeah.
It's
Take me
really
back.
good.
Yeah. Well, I also think, Craig, we were just together this whole past week in Raleigh.
Oh, that's
And
right. You guys were over there.
That's a fun story to tell.
All right.
How many years have you been going to that?
It's my second year.
That's my second year too.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
really
last
fun.
year was my rookie year, so this year I did much
Yeah,
better.
me too. You know when to say stop.
Know when to say stop?
Yes, this is like a 4-day event in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's sponsored, or it's the charity event's called the Triangle Wine Exchange,
Okay.
which is supports the Frankie Lemon School.
Mm-hmm.
So kids with special needs. It's kindergarten and preschool. And so one of the very special people in that community, Eliza Kraft, basically is the one behind this, bringing all her friends in town to generate revenue for this special school that requires, a lot of funding to try to grow it, to get these kids the tools that they need at a very early age. So when they get mainstreamed into the regular schools, they have a bigger advantage over kids who aren't part of the program. It's a great event, lots of trade, lots of wine tastings, lots of dinners, big gala on Saturday night, and of course the after parties. The parties at Eliza's house, lots of partying. It's fun.
Lots of partying. Fundraising for a good cause, sharing great wines, and having a really good time.
And it's unique because most of what we do for charity, as any vintner or any business or whatever, you don't get to see the direct impact. So going to the school and meeting the kids and teachers, was touching.
Oh, that's fantastic. Really, you actually got to spend time traveling around and not just
doing what we do, but going and seeing the school and doing the hokey pokey with the kids, and it was great.
That's really cool. Very cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for showing up. I'm glad we were able to get everybody in, talk about when your next shows. Look for everyone next month or in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of great shows coming up for you guys. Thank you for joining us on our Meet Your Maker Roundtable, a little bit of a warm-up. Thank you, gentlemen, for bringing all these wonderful beverages to share for the rest of the evening. We've got a lot of good things to taste, and we look forward to having you around this big table again. So cheers and thank you very much.